Okay, so I just pulled up my my chart so I don't get like sidetracked. So I actually went back. It was the 24th that I went back after my visit on the, so I was there from the 16th to the 18th, 19th, and then I ended up going back on the 24th just because of the pain and everything. So just to read just a little bit, it just says patient comes in for her Chiari malformation and large syrinx, which extends down into her lower thoracic area. She was in the emergency room the other day. She has severe strain induced pain. In addition, she has developed tingling and numbness initially in her face. In the last week, it has progressed to involve the left arm and leg. That's how bad it got, you guys. And the temperature sensation on the left side of my face just was, excuse me, non-existent. Um, so yeah, the fatigue, brain fog, all of that was part of it. So because of this, the doctor even noted in here, I reviewed the MRI scan, which shows a very prominent Chiari malformation. There's essentially a holochord syrinx. So it's a lot. And I was pretty much told that surgery was going to be the correction. So we discussed. So this surgery is called decompression surgery, and again, I think I explained that earlier, where they're pretty much cutting out a piece of your skull to create more room for your brain. So the only that was the only way to correct it is what I was informed anyway. So October 30th comes. It's time for surgery, and let me actually look up the name of the procedure that I had. Sorry. If I'm not pronouncing this correctly, you can correct me down in the comments if you want. I don't really care. But I'm sorry. I'm not saying that to be rude or anything, but yeah, so bear with me. I'm going to pronounce it the best way possible. So the procedure, it was a midline prone suboccipital craniec- craniectomy C1 okay, I'm gonna cut that out because it was called a suboccipital craniectomy, and yeah, that's what I got done. And so what I'll do is just I'll try to put in like information on what that is, maybe like definitions, pictures, or something. I don't know. So yeah. So now I have to have surgery, right? So now I have to get my FMLA forms filled out because this is not just, oh, I'm going to have surgery today and then I'm going back home and going back to work, right? No. So I had to take time off work. I didn't work for, I think, 3 months actually when this happened. So I had to get all of my FMLA paperwork all figured out and everything before surgery. And mind you, I just came off of maternity leave and then now I'm going out again. Like, huh? So now I didn't have much time accrued, right? And I've already used all of my maternity leave stuff. So it's just whatever was gonna happen at this point. And so yeah, I got that filled out. We go on to or I go on to have surgery. Thank God for my mom. My mom came and actually stayed with us for, she stayed for a while actually. I think it's maybe like 2 weeks. I don't remember. And also, honestly, my husband, you guys, like, I'm not gonna cry. Thank God for him because I can't imagine being in that position, or I can, I guess, because I was. But just, him having to deal with that, like the high of, I have my firstborn child, blah, 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 blah. We're just enjoying life. And then now it's, my wife needs brain surgery. What? So now it's not just he's helping me take care of the baby. Now he's going to have to take care of me too. So it was a lot. It was heavy. So the day of surgery comes and, We discuss all the risks and everything associated with it and pre-op. And it's just like when you're in that bed, it's one thing to have like an elective surgery. I mean, I guess this would be considered elective, but it's since I maybe could have just lived with the pain, but that was not pain to live with. But yeah, it's one thing to have maybe cosmetic surgery, but this is surgery that is not just like, it's not a limb or it's not a limb or anything like that. It's my head. You get what I'm saying? So like they discuss the risks, things that could happen. Just even just going under anesthesia in general, it's a risk in itself. So just for me, it was just something very hard for me. I was terrified. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. And all I could think of was like, I only got 7 months with my baby. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry. But it's just like just reviewing all those messages and notes and just thinking of like the space I was in mentally at that time. Ew, I don't want to cry. I'm so sorry. But oh my gosh. But all I could think of was I've only had 7 months with this beautiful little girl. And I was just like praying to God, like, if you could just get me through this. You guys. I still think about it now and it just seems so fresh. And you know, she's like the happiest little baby. So, you know, for her to be just so innocent and unaware of what's happening. And she was only 7 months old at the time. And I pretty much, that's the time that I stopped nursing because after surgery, of course, I was on pain medication. So it was just pumping and dumping. And luckily, I had a stash in the freezer and everything. So she still had breast milk stored away where she could, you know, that could sustain her. Um, sustain her well into and past her first birthday, thank God. But it's just, it was a really hard time for me mentally. Um, so I had the surgery. I had the surgery. The first night they put you in ICU. Um, and that was fine. My mom and one of my closest friends, she's more like a sister to me, and my husband all came. Well, my husband was there. He didn't leave my side at all. He took videos of like me coming out of the anesthesia and just being silly. Um, but my mom, like, I couldn't even imagine what my mom was going through. You know, now that I'm a mom, it's just like there's nothing worse than seeing your child in pain and there's nothing you can do about it. Oh my god. Okay, I didn't think this was gonna be that. Sorry. Um, but yeah, so my mom came. Um, and luckily I have a really great support system. My friend Maddie, she's actually like a sister to me. So she, because my husband wouldn't leave the hospital, he just stayed there. So luckily she came and picked up my mom from my apartment, and she brought the baby. And you know, at the time, she's 7 months old. They're not gonna let her up, right? But the nurse that I had, she was an angel, and I was just, she could tell, like, you know, I needed to see the baby. So she's like, just bring her up here. I'm mama on this floor. No one's gonna question what I say. Just bring her. Just bring her. And I'm just like, so she brought her, and I got to hold my baby. And it's just, she didn't know what the heck was going on. But just being able to hold her helped me. Just helped me just realize that, okay, this is just, ooh, one obstacle that we have to get over, right? And it was fine. So I got to see her. And then, of course, they left, and my mom was with the baby, and my husband stayed with me. The next day, they had me walk around the hospital, just to make sure like my motor function, everything, nothing was affected or whatever. So that was all fine. Thank goodness. So fast forward, I'm back home now. So when I get home, it's just like reality sets in because I can't really do anything at this time. I couldn't even sleep in my bed because it was uncomfortable. Remember, the surgery was back here. So I had to just adjust where I was sleeping. So, you guys know the baby rockers. We had like a Kiwi glider that reclines back. So when Lila was born, so my husband moved that into the living room, and for the whole first month and a half, that was the only comfortable spot I could sleep in. I would recline the chair, and actually, her boppy pillow is what I used for, the back of my head. And I would just lay there, and I would have like the heating blanket. And that's how I would sleep because the bed wasn't comfortable. But for the first 2 weeks, I couldn't like bend over or anything. Or if I laughed too hard, it would hurt. I remember, I think like 2 or 3 days after surgery, I was on the phone. And I don't know, maybe I laughed too hard or something like that, and I started getting headaches again. And when I went for my follow up visit, I let them know that I was having a headache. And for them, since it's brain surgery, it's not something that you play with. I had to go again to the emergency room, just to have another MRI done, just to make sure it wasn't anything going on. And pretty much it was just the swelling from the surgery hadn't gone down. So it's pretty much me learning to like adjust to the fact that I just had a procedure done in my head. But thankfully that was fine. And first 2 weeks, like, I needed help dressing myself, even like showering. I couldn't cook or anything like that. Just, the range of motion in my head was not, what it used to be, and I couldn't bend or anything like that. So after the first 2 weeks, I had my follow up with my neurosurgeon, and they took out the staples. Oh, and by the way, they shaved the back of my head. They had to shave the back of my head to like, cut into, yeah. So now I'm just like, oh my God, how long is that going to take to grow back, right? So I'm telling my husband, I was like, maybe I'll just shave everything and it'll grow back together. I'll just shave everything. I'm happy to report my hair has grown back, thank God. But anyways, after the first 2 weeks, I guess they say that's the hardest. And I wasn't allowed to lift my baby just because any pressure could cause like, more pain and things like that. Um, so I think that was the hardest part. Like I couldn't just, pick her up. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I got so emotional. Okay. Yeah, so I wasn't allowed to pick her up for a little bit, just, to make sure that I'm healing properly. I will say immediately after surgery, when I coughed, it did not cause that headache that I was experiencing. Did I still have symptoms? Yes. Were they at the same intensity? No. Um, so I guess fast forward, I'm at home, recovering. I would say maybe about a month or so later is when I could start picking up the baby again. At this point, she's completely comfortable with the bottle. She's not nursing, nothing like that anymore. So that's that. Um, so I could pick her up again. I couldn't drive for like 6 weeks just because my range of motion. So there were just like exercises that I had to do with my head just to like get the, flexibility back, things like that. And it's, I feel like I went through more mentally. Don't get me wrong, the physical pain was excruciating prior to surgery. But the recovery process, I feel like mentally was harder on me than the actual recovery of the wound, the wounds, and everything else like that. Um, but thankfully, I have a great support system. And of course, I have follow up visits and things like that. So when it came time to go back to work, it was just like was, I had physical therapy. So I still had to like communicate with work into how I could fit that into work and, work remotely or like partial day, just all this, I guess all the legalities of everything. But yeah, so went back to work. And I was in the beginning, I was working remotely half day and in person half day, just to allow me, the time to like be able to fit in physical therapy and just adjust into getting to work because it was a slow recovery process for myself. Um, and I also feel like my anxiety just became, I can't even explain it. It just became a whole different monster, And it's like, don't I feel like to an extent we all have some sort of anxiety, right? Some handle it or manage it better than others. For me, it's always been there. I find it's worse when I feel like I'm not keeping up with Salah, if that makes sense. So I became more in tune with ensuring that, I'm praying like I'm supposed to, right? That's required of me as a Muslim. Cool. That helps. But this is different. This is not just, oh, I'm gonna go to hell, whatever, if I don't do this. That's it's not that type of anxiety. This anxiety is the fear that I still have. Like the headache is gonna come back. Or like, I it's like I couldn't trust that everything was okay. So it was just like I would go through moments of I kind of separate myself from everybody. And there were times where I didn't hear from people that I thought I was closest to, but you have to give everyone grace. People are probably going through their own things around the same time. But I will say I do have a great support system. I had friends and family come to see me, things like that. That was all very helpful. But in all honesty, the battle up here is just, I can't even explain it because even till today, I struggle with it. Till today. Because all that I could see, like, it was just like the fear of, I'm just gonna die. That's it. And not that, like, I've been a horrible person or this is and that. It wasn't even that. Is the, I haven't had enough time with my baby. It's just everything that just kept coming back to my head. Like, oh my gosh, is this actually, oh my gosh. Sorry, guys. Did the surgery actually help? Did it work? Did it fix what's wrong with me? Am I actually going to be able to live normally? You know? And I think that's the other caveat to all of this is like, yes, the symptoms are gone. They're not completely gone, but they're better. I would say they're not completely better, but much better than how I was feeling prior to surgery. Yes, let's say this is the fix, this is the cure, but I couldn't fully trust that. And that was all because of how anxious I was, you know? And so, pretty much till present day, I just have to, I learned my new normal. I'm still discovering my new normal, you know? And I can tell you it's going to rain without you looking at the weather app. There's a barometer in my head somewhere. It sounds crazy, but I promise you, when it's about to rain, I can feel it in my head. It's the craziest thing. I don't like it. I don't like it at all because that pressure is just the pressure I'm feeling now is not as bad as it was prior to surgery, but I still get that pressure behind my eye sometimes, and it's not even a pain, it's a pressure, and it's just like I have to like tap here just to like help it subside or whatever. And then sometimes when I'm praying, like if I'm in sujud for too long, I feel all the pressure again. And it's just like, day by day, it gets better. I'm not gonna lie. I feel better than I did before I had the surgery and immediately after the surgery. So it's taking time. I remember my neurosurgeon did say that, we can't, you can't rush this. It's a process. um, that was a big surgery that you had. You have to give your body time to heal. So, and he also reminded me that the syrinx that I had was there for so long that that could have caused permanent nerve damage. And we won't know for sure until at least a little over a year when I have like a repeat MRI or whatever to see if it's shrunk or whatever the case may be. And I'm happy to report I did have an MRI and the syrinx has shrunk. It's not completely gone, but we now I have a baseline, It's not as large as it was before, but there's no longer a blockage in my spine. And so now back to the whole anxiety situation, right? Now my fear is, or was, still kind of is. And I remember asking him this, so am I allowed to have, not have, whenever, whenever, let's say I become pregnant again, am I allowed to go naturally or like have an epidural? Like, how does that work? Because I know for some people it's so severe that you have to go under general anesthesia and just be knocked out and have a C-section. And he, reassured me that here's your imaging, there's no blockage, there's no nothing, you're fine. You can push normally or get an epidural if you're fine, if you want, So he reassured me that all those things. But you just can't help but to think all the what ifs, and that's my problem. That I think I had to learn to just I can't control everything, and I kind of just have to let go and let God. And then you can plan as much as you want, but things are not always going to go according to your plan. So yes, he's saying everything's fine. There's no blockage there anymore. You're going to continue to get better, blah, 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 whatever. That's all fine and dandy. I'm still in my head. So, yes, I know I need to seek therapy. If that's going to be a comment. And that's actively on my list of things to do once I get to it. Um, but, so yeah, I say all this to say advocate for yourself. Please. Please, 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 please advocate for yourself. I can't stress it enough. And you always hear it in like movies or you read about it or even the news or whatever. But then it's just like when it's you now facing that, it's wow. It's like a different reality almost. And yeah, I don't know if this is going to help anybody or if it's not or if it's just me discussing what happened to me. Like, I don't know where this is going to end up, but advocate for yourself. Advocate for yourself. You're worth it. Listen to your body. You know yourself more than anyone else. Listen to your gut instinct for sure. If something doesn't feel right, you're more than likely right. It's something is not right, you know? Um, but yeah, so if it's one thing that I've learned is to advocate for myself and research as much as I can. I'm still trying to, get out of my head with stuff. I on my last visit, my neurosurgeon was just like listening to me just go on and on and on. And we said, well, what about this? And then what about this? And then I have this, but then I felt this, and then blah, 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 blah. And then I cough and this, and that. And he's just like, you know, I have a feeling after I show you everything here and the imaging that you'll understand that Chiari, you can't keep blaming Chiari for everything anymore. That part is resolved. That part is resolved. So if you have a cough, you probably just have a cough. You may have a cold or it may be allergies or whatever. Address the symptom. Chiari is not causing it anymore. Now, the nerve damage part, that might be something you'll just have to learn to adjust to. It could get better. Who knows? The syrinx was there for a long period of time. We don't know how long it was there for. So, that may be something you're going to have to adjust to because that could be possibly permanent nerve damage. But you know what? Hey, I'll take it because my limbs all move. It's fine. I have sensation back, not 100%. I would say 85% on my left side. But you know what? I'll take that over anything. So pretty much him telling me that I can't keep blaming Chiari anymore every time I feel something brought me back down to reality that like, okay, he might be right. Let me just get out my head. Now, do I have a headache because I didn't eat or because I didn't sleep or because I'm dehydrated or am I just sick? Maybe it's one of those things. I can't just immediately go into, oh my gosh, it's because it's just really not the same headaches that I was experiencing. If anything, the pressure and stuff from like when it's about to rain or if I'm in sujud for too long, stuff like that. That's just adjustments that I'm gonna have to make as I live life, right? So now I'm adjusting to my new normal that I'm trying to figure out. And I'll make changes as I go. But I also have to just be confident in knowing that God has got me, right? And I just need to go on about my life. And I can't live in the headspace of anxiety longer than I need to. Because again, I'm raising a little girl and I can't just, fester, have all this stuff in my head and then she's like looking at me and then you get what I'm saying, like no. So yeah, therapy is the next step for me. All in all, I'm doing much better. I'm back. I'm finally starting to feel somewhat normal again. I know this is what, September. Fun fact, September is Chiari Malformation Awareness Month. Yeah. But yeah, this is just so random for me. Like this is not even anything that I ever heard of before. So I don't know if other people may have it. Of course, other people have it. But a lot of times people don't even know they have it. So if you feel like you're having any symptoms of anything and you're feeling dismissed, it's okay to get a second opinion, third opinion if you need to. Advocate for yourself. If you feel something is not right, it's not right. Like, let's just get down to the bottom of it, and you have to push sometimes. And in all honesty, when you give the pushback, a lot of times they'll be forced to then act, right? So simple things like, okay, so if you're denying me the service, I need you to note it in my chart why you're denying me the service. You get what I'm saying? Because then it's just like, then liabilities and everything gets involved and blah 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 blah, all of that jazz. And trust me, they don't want to deal with that. So yeah, all I'm gonna say is I'm doing much better. Alhamdulillah. I'm doing much better. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. I'm in the bathroom. Oops. But yeah. I'm doing much better. I'm figuring out my new normal. And I'm just, gonna love life. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any questions, or leave some comments if you know somebody that may have Chiari. But yeah, you're worth it. Advocate for yourself and trust your instinct. That's all I can really say about that. But thanks for watching if you made it this far.